Hi guys, welcome back. Today there's going to be no numbers, so that's going to be a relief for some people. It's called The Enemy Surrounds Us, Grievous Walls and Tears. Now, it came to my understanding, and many of you I'm sure, that some years ago that we realised who the ravenous walls were, and anyone with the eyes to see, ears to hear, know that they're basically the Free Martins and the secret transgenders. Now I'm finally ready to start talking about some of the stories and the Psy-ops that they've played on myself over the years and the understanding that I have and why they've done it. I've got a lot of stories. I'm going to be doing a series of these, but first I'm going to tell you about a guy that we're going to call John. I've basically known John, or knew him, since I was about 8 years of age, what we call junior school here in Britain, and he was basically one of my best friends, at least I thought. Up until about my mid-30s, I'm now in my early 40s. So here goes. Basically I spent a lot of time at this guy's house when I was in school years, but firstly his mom would never ever acknowledge me, literally wouldn't look at me or acknowledge me, and she was just cold. However, his dad I got on really well with. He was warm, she was cold. But in the early years of knowing him, John, the one thing that used to disturb me is that he used to bite the ends of his fingers to the point that there were literally chunks taken out of the ends of his fingers. It was literally like you take bites out of an apple. It was gross. It got to the point where I'd literally just grab him and hold his hands and just say, "What were you doing? No." But the moment I'd let go, he'd instantly start chewing his fingers again. I mean, furiously. It was as though you'd take an apple and you'd bite it in different places all around the apple, and there'd just be chunks missing out of his fingers. I never understood that, but obviously now I do. I mean, what that alleged mother of his must have been doing to him, I can't even imagine. But anyways, years went on. We used to play sport together, and at one of our presentation nights I was talking to his older sister at the bar for about, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes, and then went back to my friends, but noticed that John went over to talk to her and seemed to have given her a pep talk. She was looking down a little bit sad, and he was giving her encouragement. I obviously thought nothing of it, but looking back now I understand what was going on, because later on that night, and it made no sense to me at the time, in front of, I don't know, a dozen or so people, he just looked at me and said, "You fancy my sister, don't you?" I was like, "What?" He says, "You fancy my sister?" I said, "No, I don't." He says, "Yes, you do." I said, "No, I don't." He said, "You do." And I never understood why he did that. It was quite embarrassing. But obviously looking back now, I understand that she was clearly struggling, being in the situation she was, being reversed, and he was obviously giving her encouragement, giving her a little pep talk. And the reason he said that to me is he wanted me to say, yeah, I do. Just so he could go and tell her and say, "Look, Mark fancies you. You see, you are attractive, you can do this." And I've got absolutely no doubt that that's what he was doing. It was just weird. I mean, think about it. Of all the guys that you know that have sisters, I've known quite a few, obviously, that they do the opposite. They'll be like, "Hey man, stay away from my sister. Don't even look at her, but not this guy. He actually wanted me to admit I fancied her. And it was simply because she was struggling and he wanted to give her some encouragement. So anyway, that's the foundation of this guy and our friendship. So now I'm going to go through a few of the little psy-ops that they run on people. One of them was, years later, this sister did actually get married to a guy who looked a lot like David Spence. David Spence or Kevin Spence, I can't remember. But anyway, the story was that he got really badly beaten up one night in town because, in inverted commas, he had long hair. And the reason it was really creepy is because if someone you care about has been beaten up to the point that their face is black and blue and you can hardly recognise them, the last thing you would be doing is taking a photograph of them and going to show everybody. He'd literally put this photograph down of his face that was black and blue in front of everyone, and he'd be like tapping it with his finger saying, look what happened, look what happened. And they did it for like about a week. They were just going around showing everyone. And again, think about it, if you care about someone that has been savagely beaten up, you're not going to take photographs of them and show it to people. You just wouldn't do that. It's just the little psy-ops they run constantly to keep you trapped in the lie system. No doubt about it. The more lies you believe, the more you're likely to believe. Anyway, they get a bit more insidious even. Then go on to tell me stories about the woman in the local chip shop that he met on a night out and had an affair with, and he'd tell me stories about what she did and all this. And when you're trapped in the lie, obviously when you go into that place, you obviously look at her and think you know something about that woman, but obviously it was just made up. He didn't do anything with her because he's just a freak. And this one particular instance, there was this really attractive blonde woman that lived on the estate as well. I didn't know her before. Now at the time he was living with an Indian girl, and he said he invited this blonde woman round after meeting her a few times to his house while she was away. And we couldn't believe it because she was stunning. Where's this come from? And he told us stories about them obviously having rampant sex all night. And then he said the most disgusting thing that unfortunately at the time I actually believed in. I thought badly of this young woman. He said after they'd had sex towards the end of the night and she was about to leave, he said that she turned round to him and said, "So I take it you're going to dump the packy now?" And it wasn't just me he told this to, it was quite a lot of us. And again, I remember thinking bad things about that woman for quite some time. Occasionally I'd see her and I'd think, oh, I know what you're like, but no. She was never like that. And I'm ashamed that I used to think badly of her, because I've got no doubt that she probably wouldn't even know who he was if I introduced her to him. Or him to her. But anyway, not so long after that, I started dating this young woman, let's call her Sarah. We dated for about 2 months. She was nice. Nothing happened. I mean, we obviously kissed a few times and so on, and she used to come back to my place and we'd have a chat and so on, and I quite liked her, and obviously he knew this. And anyway, one of our other mutual inverted commas friends that I now know is a free mind, there was the three of us that used to play sport together. One night after cricket we used to play, as we were going home, he said, "Mark, I've got something to tell you." I said, "What's that?" He said, "You know John?" He said, "Yeah." "Well, he's seen Sarah." I was like, "What?" He says, "Yeah, he's seen Sarah." I was like, "What are you on about?" "I'm dating Sarah." He's like, "No, he's seen Sarah." And I was like, what? So obviously that peed me off a lot. So I spoke to her and she was like, "Yeah," and she was pretty blunt. And I couldn't understand what was going on. Obviously it's... And anyway, he ended up living with her for about 3 or 4 years. They never got married in the end, but she moved in with him. Anyway, we made friends, it was fine. I liked her, I was a bit peeved, but it wasn't the love of my life or anything, but that was beside the point. And it's just some of the little psy-ops that they run on you. The psychological... I don't know, battles that they put you through. They want you to be anxious and suffer all the time. And I now know, because I know that they are what they are, why they do it. It's just a constant attack. It's never ending. They'll do whatever they want. They'll say whatever they want. And ultimately they hate you. And I've come to that realisation now. I understand what they are, why they did all these things. I mean, there's so many more stories much, much worse than this. This is just the first video I'm doing on this subject. But anyway, this family, this John's family and his cold, evil mother, they were also involved in one of the local huge psy-ops in the local city of mine, where an alleged bomb went off and killed people. Now, he always claimed that his granddad was killed by the bomb that went off in the city. And it took me a while to understand, once I woke up, what that was all about, but I now understand that. It's basically that there's no such thing as crisis actors. No people going on about crisis actors working in these psy-ops. There's no such thing. I mean, they are actors, but they literally call the local satanic trannies in the area just to lie about what's happened. It's disturbing, the control they have on everything and everyone, that they can lie. I actually saw his uncle on the news only a few years ago during the anniversary, and he was just confounding the myth that this thing was real. But the thing that confirmed that this wasn't an actual real event is that when the anniversary came up, when this person's granddad, this mother's dad, was meant to have been murdered, they didn't even go to the anniversary in the local city. They just didn't turn up. Now, if one of your loved ones has been killed by terrorists, you'd turn up. But they didn't, because it's just a story. Anyway, I hope this makes sense. I hope people aren't too angry by it. If you have any questions, let me know.